Okay, we are live, but we must let it breathe as we connect our channels, get Facebook in here in its fullness, and then we'll fire off tonight's show in earnest. Welcome in, everybody. It is the Mile High Huddle podcast. I'm your host, Chad Jensen. With me, my fellow football priest. You know him, you love him, Zack Kelberman. Zack, Nathaniel Hackett has been under some serious fire, dude. You had an article about it today. I thought it was an interesting read, though, with guys like Kyle Shanahan, Matt LaFleur going to bat in defense of Nathaniel Hackett, trying to kind of, I think, maybe calm some nerves. Do you think it did any good? Do you think Broncos fans have calmed down a little bit over the weirdness of the first 2 weeks?
No, I don't think Broncos country cares what Matt LaFleur and Kyle Shanahan has to say about Nathaniel Hackett based on what they saw, but they probably should. If you don't take it from us or anyone else in the Broncos fear, how about Hackett's former boss, Matt LaFleur? And I love what he said, and it's kind of coach speak, but it applies to the current situation. Quote, he'll figure it out, no doubt about it. This is LaFleur talking. So everyone needs to stop hitting that panic button down there. And that's a valid point. But I also countered that in the article by saying the panic button will stop being hit when the self-destruct button isn't simultaneously pressed. And until Hackett stops shooting himself in the foot and defeating himself, and the Broncos are their own worst enemies, you're going to see criticism. Some of it deserved, some of it is just piling on at this point, like the Guardian hit piece and the Ringer hit piece. It's just because it's the cool thing to do right now. But you can't ignore the follies of Hackett's first two games.
Yeah. Sorry, I was having problems with my mute button here. Sam Bam, appreciate you, brother. He says, good evening. I'm both excited and nervous about the game Sunday night, though I think the Broncos will come out much more prepared and polished and will get the win. From your lips to the ears of the football god, Sam. Appreciate you, buddy.
I'll settle for having a punt returner back there. Let's start small, baby steps.
Yeah. By the way, are we going to see you at the meet and greet, bro? I hope so. That's Sunday. It's this Sunday. It's going to be a gas. We'll get more into that here in just a minute, but I want to come back to this real quick. Don't worry, Sam. We're going to talk a lot about the Niners matchup tonight. So we're just scratching the surface. Zack, we talked about this on the radio show, but this comment from Shanahan where he said, quote, I mean, I remember my first game. I went for it 4 times, and they were ones I should not have gone for, and I've never done that before. That's when I realized you can't think like coordinators. Those are all experiences you go more through for the first time. But he's done this for a while, Hackett, and you guys have a good coach there and a very good offensive play caller. So closing that quote, Zack, what do you suppose he means by Shanahan saying, as a head coach, you can't think like a coordinator?
Pretty much you can't think like Vic thought as the Broncos head coach or even VJ before him. When you hire a coordinator, it's a big transition going from just that one responsibility, so in Hackett's case, the offense, to managing the entire team, managing the play clock, managing situational factors, managing the defense, the special teams, your assistants, it's analytics, the people upstairs, the people next to you. It's a lot of different things going on, and there's a major transition to it. And Hackett's learning it's not easy. It's not easy going from an OC where you have one specialty to leading a whole team, but there are going to be growing pains. And as Matt LaFleur said, everyone needs to calm down. And as Kyle Shanahan said, I went through them too. You know, he's regarded as one of the best coaches in the NFL, and for good reason, but even he struggled in the beginning, and he explained what he did wrong and in recalling his first experiences and tying him to Nathaniel Hackett's. It's going to be okay. He'll learn from it.
The Duchess, it's great to see you checking in. Thank you for the super chat, my friend. She says, only 3 days before the meetup, I hope we can put a cherry on top by winning. Go Broncos. It would be going against MHH meet and greet tradition if the Broncos lose this, Michaela. So let's keep that in mind. We want to keep a positive mojo going for these events, unlike, say, when our great friend Nick Kendall attends anything like even adjacent to a Broncos game. If Nick Kendall is in the same area code as the Broncos within, say, like a 30-day window of when they're going to play, calamities will befall the team. Like, that's the way it is. Nick knows we love him. But check this out, dude. Everybody, all right, we want to see you on Sunday. We know a lot of you, many of you have checked in with a kind of RSVP of sorts, letting us know you're going to be there. But here's how you find us. All right, Sunday, we're going to be there about 3:00 is when we expect to start greeting people and saying hi and having been all set up and whatnot. It is an evening game. So we'll be there as soon as the tailgate opens up, Lot D. And if you walk out the south end of the building, you got the south stands, you got the spot where all the players drive up and walk in and all that. That spits you straight south. We're just southwest in the tailgate. All right, Lot D, easy to find. All right, just look for the big blue Mile High Huddle tent. State of being, hashtag state of being. Hard to miss us if you're looking for us, especially if you know it's Lot D. Andrew can't make it this year, but it's all good, bro. He says, I'm putting in vibes for a blowout like last year. That's right. The last meet and greet, it was a Broncos win and handily. So just come hang out with us, guys. And if you are ever in doubt of how to find us, a tweet with this flyer is going to be pinned on the @Mile High Huddle verified Twitter account. So easy to find us. We want to see as many of you as possible. Come say hi, snap a pic, hang out, talk Broncos. It'll be a gas. Zach, dude, what do you think? The MHH tradition of winning these meet and greets. How are you feeling about, we can maybe spoil the our picks for the Mile High Roundtable tomorrow, publishes tomorrow as per tradition, and tell people our prediction for Sunday.
I'm feeling like it'll be a pretty close game, one way or the other. I'll save my official prediction for the mailbag, but it's going to be a hard-fought defensive game, I feel like, and the better offense, whoever makes the play in the fourth quarter, whether it's Jimmy Garoppolo or Russell Wilson, I think they'll get the W. We all want the Broncos to win. I think they have a good chance of winning, but regardless, this should be a game that Nathaniel Hackett cleans up his mistakes and the Broncos look a lot more uniform. That's my hope anyway.
Knock on wood. That's what I'm hoping as well. We'll see. I think the Broncos are, it's so weird. Brandon, appreciate you, buddy. Says, enjoy y'all's podcast. Go Broncos. From North Carolina. Very cool. Broncos country, as proven here by this very comment from Brandon, is not a geographic location. It is a state of being, baby. GLP, looking forward to meeting you, my friend. It's going to be really fun. We'll see you on Sunday. Yep, Lot D. Just remember that, Gary. Easy to find us. And it's a big blue tent with the Mile High Huddle logos and all that. So should be pretty easy to find us. But Zach, this is one of those games where it's like, hey, if confidence in the coach having the competency to like manage simple game situation, just game management, if that wasn't an issue in the back of my football brain subconscious, I would pick the Broncos to win this game easily. Like I would say Broncos by, 4 points, which is a pretty that's a game in hand, well in hand. All right. But because we don't know yet, I mean, Hackett told us coming out of week 1, I'm going to fix it. Yeah. Nothing to worry about. First game jitters, process stuff. We'll get it figured out. And not only was it not figured out in game 2, Zach, it was arguably worse. Like it was arguably worse to the point where, as everyone knows, the meme, Broncos fans counting down the clock. So I feel my point here, what I'm getting at as I ramble a little bit, is I feel good about Denver's outlook in this. If the coaches don't torpedo this for the players, I feel like these players can win this game and will win this game. So I am going to go out on a limb and pick the Broncos to win this game, but I'm not going to be shocked in any way, shape, or form if they find a way to lose it.
I don't mind if the Broncos win in spite of Nathaniel Hackett. I just don't want them to lose because of him, if that makes sense. But have you seen the Broncos injury list? My God, it's like literally the entire team is on there. And there's some full practices and guys who will play, but it just goes to show you how beat the hell up the Broncos are. And it's only not even week 3 yet. I mean, we're not even to Sunday and everyone's on there. Regardless, the talent on both sides of the field is there. The Broncos, by DVOA, have a top 10 defense. By yards per game on offense, they have a top 10 offense. If they just convert in the red zone and get out of their own damn way, they can win Sunday. And I believe they will win Sunday under those circumstances.
Lots more to get to. Things I want to piggyback off what Zach just said. But first, we got to say what's up and thank you to the presenting sponsor of tonight's live stream podcast, and that is MyBookie. You've got some killer matchups this weekend, including Broncos-Niners. And, when you look across the NFL at the quarterbacks, it's a show of, the old guard versus the young guns. But nothing makes the matchups more exciting than having a little skin in the game at MyBookie. MyBookie has super contests, survivor pools, and a double deposit bonus that gives you everything you need to secure the bag.
Yeah, getting started today is simple, guys. Sign up today and use promo code Wilson22 and you'll double your first deposit instantly. That's promo code Wilson22 to double your deposit up to $1,000 with MyBookie. This is not your grandfather's bookie. This is MyBookie. So put your money where your mouth is and get rewarded for it. Begin your winning season today, exclusively at MyBookie.
This is not Tony Soprano or Paulie Walnut's bookie. All right. This is MyBookie, baby. Just remember that code Wilson22. Ren 99. What's up, buddy? Sorry, I've been on both Zach and I are huge Soprano nerds, and I've been on a re-binge of Sopranos lately. I can hardly get anything done trying to prepare for the meet and greet, get all the ducks in a row, and I'm just like glued to my phone watching Sopranos for what must be, I don't know, the 10th time since the 90s. Something like that.
What are you going to do?
What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Ren 99, good to see you, buddy. Appreciate the super. He says, what's good, guys? Been a while. That it has. But Ren, you keep coming back. You've been with us for a long time. We know you're always going to come back, so it's great to see you. He says, I'm optimistic that we can turn things around on Sunday night. We need to run the ball more, especially in the red zone. Hashtag let's ride Denver Broncos for life and go Broncos. I love it. We talked a lot about that today as well, Zach, on the radio show, 98.1 FM in Denver, Mile High Sports Radio. Get that run game going and specifically quit abandoning it in the red zone.
You know what's part of the reason why I'm actually so encouraged about the Broncos offense and the Broncos prospects this year, because they're simple corrections. They're simple fixes they need to make. It's don't fumble near the goal line. Don't run an option play with Andrew Beck on 3rd and inches. Hand the ball off to Javonte when you get inside the 5, or Melvin Gordon for that matter. I do not care. But they have a league high 17 passing attempts in the red zone, and they have literally 0 to show for it. So if he watched the film, which, obviously he did, the one glaring takeaway about his play calling, he's fine between the 20s. But when he gets to 15, 10, 5, he has to just, what was the expression? Dance with who got him there. It was a perfect way to put that, Chad. Javonte picked out the corset, and he got the car, and he gassed it up, and he picked you up, and he paid for your meal, and he showed you a good time. Now reward him for it. Please.
At least let him cut a rug. At least invite him into the dance after he's done all those things for you, Zach.
Or elsewhere. Invite him in elsewhere, but we'll keep it PG.
Marcus from across the pond sending his regards, saying, hey, guys, respect to you both. Right back at you, buddy. And all of Broncos fans from the UK. I think this is a hard game, says Marcus, for the guys on Sunday. It is. And this is a step up in order of magnitude and levels of competition. So it's going to be interesting to see if Denver's focus and intensity is commensurate with that. Are they going to play up as they have played down to the competition thus far? Plum Bob with the super. Thank you, buddy. He says, let's perform under the bright lights and get this dub. Yeah, let's. How's it? I don't know. I'm not good at Jameis Winston impressions.
I'll get you some crab legs and you'll pull off a good Jameis impression. Just don't steal them, Chad. And I'm sorry, Broncos fan 99 corrected me here. It's actually 18 pass attempts in the red zone, and they have still 0 to show for it. So it's even more reason why when you get near the goal line, 33 is your answer. Not number 3. Add another digit, 33. That's the way to go. Appreciate you, Bronco fan.
Yeah, appreciate that. Don't forget Code Wilson on the MyBookie, y'all. Okay. So as here's Savage Boy Kev on Twitch saying, good news is Miners, Sertan, DJ Jones, and Josie Jewell practiced. Appreciate you being with us on Twitch, Savage Boy Kev. How are you feeling about the injury state of this team?
Can we please pull up the injury report, please?
Yeah, I'll pull
just
it up.
to give people the laundry list of information that's on there. It's pretty much the entire team. This person picked up an elbow. This person picked up a hamstring. It just seems like everyone has a malady right now. Fortunately, not all are severe, and not all will keep certain individuals out. It seems like KJ Hamler is going to play and Jerry Jeudy will not. So you give it, then you take it away. Randy Gregory, it seems like he's going to play. Josie Jewell, he's going to play. That's really good news against that Niners offense and the rushing attack. And on the other side, Quinn Miners, if he plays, great. I mean, he's better than Graham Glasgow, but he's coming off a hammy, probably won't be 100%, and he's facing just a catastrophically scary defensive line led by Nick Bosa. And right next to him at right tackle is either Cameron Fleming, who is Cameron Fleming, or Billy Turner making his first start and coming off months of inactivity. That's the one thing that terrifies me, Chad. Injuries or not, health or not about this game, it's the Broncos O-line versus the Niners defensive line.
Here, indeed. Here is the snapshot of the Wednesday and Thursday practice reports. So I can't really blow it up any bigger than that, so I'm going to read through some of this. Jerry Jeudy did not participate either day. Going through the key names here. KJ Hamler was limited both days. That's, I guess, somewhat encouraging. Josie Jewell limited, but he's participating. This is good. Draymond Jones with a neck was limited. He'll play. Don't worry about Draymond. Same with DJ. Quinn Miners, coming off that hammy, did not participate Wednesday, practiced on today. Let's see, Mike Purcell with an elbow, didn't practice yesterday. I don't know what these dashes are supposed to mean. Broncos PR could make. Oh, let's see. Team.
They weren't listed on Wednesday.
Team did not practice. A report is an estimation. I don't know. Pat Surtain, DNP on Wednesday, limited Thursday. Billy Turner, full, and then limited. What's that about, dude? He goes and has a full practice Wednesday, and then, maybe another setback. I don't know. Randy Gregory, DNP, full on Thursday. Dalton Reisner popping up with an elbow, full, though, today. I mean, look at this laundry list, Zach. Meanwhile, Niners, Eric Armstead.
Right. There's like 7 people there compared
Kittle.
to 20.
Well, Armstead, Kittle, and Trent Williams are all names that matter greatly to the Niners, and they're all on this report. But, yeah, that's the state of things right now, man.
I think Kittle's going to play based on what I heard. And KJ Hamler revealed he's actually battling a groin injury that he picked up after week 1. That's why he didn't play last week, but supposedly he feels good. He's ready to go on Sunday, and the Broncos are going to need him because after Cortland Sutton with Jerry Jeudy out, man, it's a steep drop to Montreal Washington, Tyree Cleveland, and your favorite Kendall Hinton.
Yeah, Kendall almost Hinton. He reminds me at times of
Justin
Simmons back in the day. Simmons now has become a closer more often than not, the last 2 or 3 years. But that tells you how long Zach and I have been doing this, to where Justin Simmons, I used to have a nickname for him, which is almost, because he was always almost close to the interception.
I think it started when he almost tackled Sam Darnold on that long touchdown run.
It was before that, but touche. Marcus, why are we suffering all these injuries so soon in the season? Are we going to be plagued again like last season? It's who's ever read the book known as The Secret, which is tells you about the philosophy. It's kind of new agey. It's called the law of attraction. The law of attraction is basically this. All right. The Cliff Notes version is, Zach, anything positive you want, or anything you want. All right. You got to put those positive vibes into the universe. So I want that parking spot. I want, a better job. I want my kids to stay healthy, whatever it might be. All right. If you think those positive thoughts and you put it out into the universe, the feedback you will get back from the universe will be what you want. Conversely, if it's negative approach and it's always in fear, or I'm so worried about this happening, or I'm so worried about that happening, guess what? The universe is going to feed that right back to you. So my point being, Zach, Nathaniel Hackett rests the starters, 99% of them anyway, in the preseason, because he's so much abject fear over the injury bug getting any of these guys, to a point where, because he was so focused on that, the universe, the feedback, it is what it is. What goes up must come down. It's a metaphysical law of the universe.
I want a new strength and conditioning staff. Please. Can we make that happen? If I pray hard enough, Chad, if I put that out there,
just keep doing it. Keep doing it.
Marcus hit on the same thing. It's not just this year. It's like last season, like the season before, and the season before. It's an ongoing theme. The Broncos should not be this injured this early in the season. I know they're not the only team. I know injuries are a part of the game, but when you have 20 players on there and it's like half your roster with nicks and bruises and injuries, and you're to lose Tim Patrick for the season, it's like, what is going on there in Dove Valley? But that's for another day.
What is happening right now? It's a question for the sages. It's a question for the prophets throughout time. We don't have the answers. We don't know. But hey, while we're here, Zach, we're 20 minutes in. let's do our head-to-head. It is Thursday. We'll go through some keys to a victory here in just a few minutes. But first, let's as each week, Zach, that we go through these head-to-heads, it's becoming a more reliable metric, meaning the more sample size there is with which to average out metrics, the more reliable it becomes. And so it's still early. These aren't the most reliable indication of, for example, where the Broncos are going to be as an offense or the Niners as a defense, say, come December, but at least it puts you in the ballpark. As it stands, look right here at the very top, general turnover margin. The Niners are in the top 10. They've taken the ball away 2 times more than they've given it away. Meanwhile, the Broncos, Zach, are -2. Both teams have done very well. They're top 10 in time of possession. Any takeaways from that first little section here?
Not really. San Francisco is a very run-oriented, ball-controlled offense, so that's why you're seeing them taking care of the ball and leading in TOP. But it's a small sample size. Like we said last week, let it play out 7 or 8 weeks, and then we'll have more of a determining factor to go on.
All right. As we look at the offense here, kind of curious. Now, it's also a little ski-wampus for the Niners because they started the season out with one quarterback, and then another quarterback came in the second game. So it's a combination of Trey Lance and Garoppolo influenced, operated offense. But here's where we stand for what it's worth. The Broncos, see, it's not all bad with Nathaniel Hackett. Top 10 in yards per game, averaging just shy of 392 yards per game. That puts them 7th in the league. They're 7th in yards per play. That 6.1 is healthy. All right. Points per game, bottom 3rd, right? Or pardon me, bottom 10. So remember, green means top 10 ranking, red means bottom 10, and then black is just in the middle. So points per game, the Broncos are bottom 10 right now. Shocker, considering where they are red zone wise. We'll get to that. Meanwhile, Zach, look at the Niners in points per game. They're not faring all that much better. At 18.5, they're averaging, which ranks them 19th.
I'm just looking at the Niners red zone percentage, and I see, is that 37.5, 27th overall in the league? That's it. Fire Kyle Shanahan. He can't do it. His offense isn't working. It just goes to show you it's not really easy to score, and there's certain circumstances that might prevent you. In the Broncos case, it's a fluke where 2 running backs fumble near the goal line, and the part of it that's not a fluke is Hackett's play calling. When you throw 18 times compared to 4 runs, there's a serious problem there. But it's really interesting to see a team that's 7th in yards per game, 7th in yards per play, and 24th in scoring. That wouldn't be the case if they just fix that simple red zone woe. And once they do that, this offense will take off. I have zero concern about that.
Net rushing, both teams are top 10. The Denver Broncos are 10th, averaging 126. The Niners are 4th, averaging a whopping 182.5. Now, that is a number we know through sample size will whittle down farther and farther, end up somewhere probably closer to where Broncos are currently averaging. So it's a little outsized, but it still showcases a focus on this team, for the Niners anyway, of establishing the run, and they're going to do their darndest to do that Sunday night. Passing yards, though, they're one of the worst in the league, and you can't expect anything more than that, Zach, considering the quarterback upheaval that team has already gone through in 2 weeks. Meanwhile, your Broncos are the 8th passing offense, all right? 265 yards per game. Only 1 interception for the Broncos. That ranks them in the top 3. Same for the Niners. Fumbles lost, though, Broncos have lost 2. They're both on the datgum goal line. That ranks them in the bottom 10. Giveaways, Broncos are middle of the pack. Niners with only 2 are tied for 10th. All right. Then we get to sacks allowed. The Broncos have allowed 5, which puts them kind of middle of the pack. Niners have only allowed 3 sacks, despite the injury to Trey Lance, which, Zach, wasn't that a running play?
Yeah, that is design power quarterback draw.
I mean, so, you tempt the fates. That's probably what's going to happen. But these teams look awfully similar in terms of their third down and red zone percentage. Now, the Broncos are 15th in third down. 40.7 isn't like totally horrendous, right? That means they're converting 4 of 10. You want to be 50 and above in a perfect world. Meanwhile, the Niners are right there with them, 43% to Denver's 40%. And then red zone percentage, still Denver has yet to hit pay dirt when they've crossed the 20-yard line. Meanwhile, the Niners aren't much better. They're ranked 27th, 37.5%, Zach.
Just weird to see 0.0. And I'm reading some of the comments. Guys, I wasn't criticizing Melvin Gordon for fumbling. I was saying it was so fluky for both running backs to cough up fumbles near the goal line, Pookie included. So that's the point I was trying to make. But, it's dichotomy why we talk about these stats being kind of meaningless in week 2, Chad. The Niners rank tied for 7th with 3 sacks allowed, but the Broncos rank, 19th? With 5. It's only a 2-sack difference, but it goes to show you how skewed the numbers are. The Broncos offense looks a lot better than people would make it out to be. If they just fix those red zone issues, again, they're going to be all green.
We're going to come back and cover the defense, trust, but we want to bring your attention to a really dope new design on the merch store that it's only $18. Check out that design, all right, on orange. Brand new Mile High Huddle podcast design with a pretty mean looking Bronco right smack dab in the middle. These are dope. There's all kinds of different designs with this logo on it. So just go to the merch store, huddleuppod.com. You'll also see options if you're on YouTube right below the video screen. While you're on YouTube, you can either use that or just go to huddleuppod.com and surf through, see what you like. But Zach, what are your thoughts on this design? You haven't seen it till right now.
I have my wallet with me. I'm about to get my card out and buy one, Chad, because that is super fire. I love the color design. I love the orange with the blue little backdrop and the logo, the Bronco right in the middle. I think that's the dopest shirt we have in inventory right now. So anyone who's thinking about it, we see Diamond Rattler on the side saying, I'm copying that, so dope. Get yours now, because I guarantee these will go fast.
Huddleuppod.com, easy to find. Jesse says... Yeah, dude. What's going on? He says, good evening, Chad and Zach. Let's ride, fellas. What do you all see as the biggest keys to a Broncos victory? Yeah, let's segue for a second to keys, and then we'll come back and look at defense. Zach, what's key number 1 for you? We'll take it kind of bullet point by bullet point.
Don't beat yourself, number 1. Don't be so deer in headlights on the sideline. Be more decisive. I'm talking to you, Nathaniel Hackett, not so much anybody else. Maybe Russell Wilson in the huddle. If you see the play clock winding down near 0 or counting down to that point, give a little tempo to it. Be that commander, be that captain that the Broncos look for him to be, but just don't shoot yourself in the foot. Hold on to the ball. Don't drop passes. Don't give up a huge turnover on a sack, fumble, or interception, something like that. Utilize your great backfield in Javonte and Melvin Gordon and throw in some Mike Boone as well. Just get back to the basics. Have a punt returner back there on a punt, Chad. Don't have an Andrew Beck option run on 3rd and 1. The basics. Get back to football fundamentals, and that's a good starting point for this subject.
I like it. That is square one for the Broncos. Don't be your worst enemy this time, all right? Leave that up to the Niners on game day. I'm going to say also, here's a big key for me, pardon me, time for Russ to do his part to silence the doubters and the critics and the boo birds and the meme comedians and all this stuff. Russ, I wrote about this today. His explanation for why he seems reticent to use his legs when plays break down was complete spin and just utter BS. It was meaningless. That's all I'm saying. He didn't have a real answer. You and I have speculated on what that answer might be in the absence of the Broncos being honest with us.
He pretty much admitted it in his first sentence.
What? Say it.
He said we wanted to get the passing game working, didn't he?
He did say that. So that's a half truth. We want to get the passing game going, and my head coach is absolutely terrified of anything happening to me. So I've been coached to the point where I'm thinking about it when I'm on the field. So I don't care if you rush for 3 yards, Russ, or 0. That's not really what I'm getting at as far as my key. My key is we need to see Russ perform and produce like a $245 million quarterback, not a disjointed, hey, pretty solid between the 20s. Can't quite get it done in the red zone. Close the deal, or else you don't get coffee anymore. Coffee's for closers. So I want to see Russ perform like a top 5, top 10 quarterback. Let's go.
Yeah, perfectly said. And part of that is, again, if you see the play clock winding down, or if you feel like Nathaniel Hackett isn't getting the play calls in fast enough or quick enough, whatever, say something. Speak up. You have full power and autonomy in this organization. You want it to cook. You want it to build and devise and create this offense. Well, you have to do your part as well. You have a big responsibility on your shoulders, and it doesn't all fall on Nathaniel Hackett. So I'm right there with you. He has to be the intangible leader with speaking up and vocalizing and commanding the huddle, but also the tangible leader by making the play when it comes down to it with his arm and, if applicable, with his legs. He had a clear path, Chad. We talked about this multiple times. Clear path to the end zone. If he would have tucked and ran it to the right side, he might have gotten stopped short. He probably would have gotten hit pretty hard, but you have to take that chance. You have to put your body on the line to make the Broncos a winning product, to get the Broncos on the scoreboard, to get that monkey in the red zone off your shoulders. You got to do whatever you can to prove these doubters wrong. And Russ, like Nathaniel Hackett, they've coached and played scared through 2 games.
This is true. Another key, I'll put it to the other side of the ball. This is an opponent that everything, not just some things, or like in the Broncos case, hey, things really work well if the running game gets established. For the Niners, they are nothing to bat an eye at if you shut down the running game. And that's not going to be easy. We're going to go over the defensive stuff here in just a few more minutes. But the Broncos currently have been doing a bang-up job stopping the run. All right? They are a top 5 team against the run. That needs to continue in this game because, again, the Niners are averaging over 180 rush yards per game. So this is where the unstoppable force meets the immovable object. Which one comes out, ahead? We'll see. But the Broncos, Zach, it's easy when you talk about keys to go to the old reliable, stop the run and establish the run. But in this case, these are offenses that are so similar in terms of the impetus and their origins from the West Coast, Mike Shanahan version of the West Coast, that, especially with a pocket statue quarterback in Jimmy G, you stop that run, oh man, all of a sudden you're going to get the ball back a lot. You're going to be putting pressure on Jimmy G, gives your pass rushers time to get after him because then the Broncos can get ahead in scoring, and then everything symbiotically just starts coming out in the wash the way you want it to.
Yeah, we got Achy Dragon out here asking why I can't set my monkey free, because that'd be frowned upon on this podcast. I'll say that pretty bluntly. But Broncos fan here has a good point as well. Tackling, kind of a play on, like he said here, coaching. And it's fundamentals. Discipline. They can't have arm tackles against these 49ers players who are very hard-nosed, very well coached. They are not going to make the mistake like you were talking about. They're going to wait for the Broncos to make the mistake. So I don't want to see any half tackles. I don't want to see Kareem Jackson launch into anyone and draw a 15-yard penalty. They have to be on point and get these players down to the ground. You can't have George Kittle running wide open down the middle of the field. It's simple things like that. If you stick to your cues and stay on your keys, you have a really good chance of winning this game.
All right. Here's one other key for me, and that is I want to see Montreal Washington bust one off. Now, it might not be a key to victory per se.
Pause.
Like they can get by without him returning one, but I want to see him bust one because I know he's got one in him. And last week, Zach, this is a cat, by the way. The Denver Broncos are top 3 in punt return average. So he's like, last week in particular, it no longer looked like someone was holding his grandmother hostage when he took a return. Like he actually was looking good. I want to see him bust one.
That's such a great analogy, just like picturing that and lining it up with what actually did on the field. And, Dwayne Stukes talked about one thing today in special teams that I think it was net punting average. He said it was sickening or disgusting. I can't remember the exact word, but they're not all clean on that side of the ball as well. Their punt coverage has been a little sloppy. It hasn't been all roses for Dwayne Stukes either. So he's definitely drilling it into his guys, and I'm sure Montreal included, to be a little more aggressive and take more chances. And I'm right there with you in terms of Montreal. It's a matter of when, not if, he breaks one free. I want it to be on Sunday night.
GLP saying, watch out for the coach talk, guys. When a coach says he wants passing, he may be getting ready to run it down their throats. Good point. Good point, my friend. Coach speak is a cliche reason. That's why in the league, one thing I've learned, I never, for whatever reason, it never dawned on me before I got into sports media. But one thing I've learned covering the NFL is when it comes to coach speak, GM speak, follow what they do, not what they say. So if you really want to see how a coach feels about subject A, then watch what they do regarding subject A, because more often than not, they're not going to tell you anything about why, what, whatever on subject A, because competitive advantages and whatnot. It's a form of football espionage. And so in media and for fans, because we're the in between team and me and fans is the media, everyone's guessing. You still have to guess a lot of times, but really your answers come, Zach, in the form of watch what they do, not what they say.
And we've talked about this on the radio quite a bit this week. I don't. It's encouraging that Hackett and Russell Wilson, everyone up, involved in the first two games, has owned up to the mistakes. Hackett especially, but I don't really want to hear talk. I don't really care what you have to say on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Show me on Sunday. I want to see action. So this is going to be a big barometer, a big litmus test, one way or the other for the Broncos, pass or fail, playing a quality opponent in prime time after 2 weeks of mixed bag results. I'll put it that way.
The Duchess jumping in with another very generous super chat. Thank you, Michaela, helping us keep the lights on here at MHH. She says the O-line needs to have the best game yet in order for us to win. Zach, this is something we both said on the radio today. When you look at, and what better time than now? Might as well go back to it, the head-to-head here. This Niners defense, guys, it's a little bit terrifying. All right, look at all this green on defense. Of these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 top statistical categories, the Niners defensively are top 10 in all but 3. So they're number 1 in net yards, number 2 in yards per play allowed, number 3 in points per game. They're only relinquishing 13, which so are the Broncos. They're tied on that. Net rushing, they're the second-ranked rushing defense. The first-rate passing defense, Zach. It's not easy to throw on these guys. You think, we can't run, let's throw. Well, so far through 2 games, they've proven to be smothering in both aspects. Interceptions, they've got 3 already. Broncos don't have 1. All right. Takeaways, 4 total. Broncos have 1 total, and it was that Randy Gregory strip sack. They've had many, or forced fumble. The Broncos have had, Zach, many opportunities for takeaways. The ball just keeps bouncing right back to the other team for whatever reason. And then look at third down percentage, top 10. They're only allowing a conversion on basically 1 every 3 times. So that's a formidable defense, Zach, which goes back to Michaela's point about the O-line. Yeah, they need to earn their paychecks on Sunday.
I got to put my glasses on so I can see these smaller text because I have a point to make here. The Broncos defense ranks 3rd in net yards per game, 5th in yards per play, 3rd for points per game, 5th in rushing yards per game, 5th in passing yards per game, 5th in fumble recoveries, 8th in, scroll down so I can continue.
Sorry, can you see it now?
No, you're good. 8th in third down percentage and 1st in red. They haven't allowed a touchdown in the red zone. Has anyone talked about that? I want to give real quick a round of applause to Ejiro Evero because no one's talking about him, Chad, and he's a rookie coordinator and he's a first timer, just like Nathaniel Hackett is in his position, and he's leading a defense that's missing its inside linebacker, missing its safety, now missing, last week missed Patrick Surtain. And look at all that green. We didn't see that green under Vic Fangio too much, did we? We saw a lot of black and some red in there. For what he's done in 2 games that no one's talking about is phenomenal. Hats off to you, Evero.
Let me throw the devil's advocate at you, though. Yeah, but Zach, look at, the Seahawks, the Texans, Davis Mills, of course, they're going to be ranked high through 2 games.
It's not, of course, based on how everyone's talking. I know that's why the Ringer article was so ridiculous, Chad. Yeah. Because who was Benjamin Solak, whatever his name is, he said that the entire staff is floundering just like Hackett is. That's just a hot take for the sake of making a hot take. It's not rooted in fact or reality. If you want reality, look at all that green right there. I don't care who they've played. I don't care if they play Denver High School. They're still producing. They're keeping teams out of the end zone, and they're limiting yards, points, red zone percentage, third down percentage. Doesn't matter who you play. If you get it done, you get it done. I'm not apologizing for anything.
Yeah, I love that third down percentage, top 10. Red zone still have yet to relinquish a touchdown. And in fact, for Vic Fangio, that was his one defensive signature. as the czar here for those 3 years, is the Broncos were always the best in the red zone. That seems to have trickled into this season, so that's good. Let's hope they can sustain that. They're not going to stay perfect in the red zone forever. A big reason for that is the quarterbacks they've faced through 2 games. But as long as they can still, hover in the top 5, man, that just gives Russell Wilson and the offense so many opportunities to do what they got to do if teams, when they get into scoring position, are coming away with 3s instead of 7s. That
Well, first of all, it's Seattle. That was their Super Bowl. The Seahawks were
True.
up for that game more than any other game. And what's so encouraging is Evero made adjustments in the second half. I don't care about the numbers of the opponents that much when you see tangible progress being made. It was something that Vic Fangio never did or rarely did, was adjust. He was too stubborn. Evero isn't that stubborn. And when you talk about the Texans game, yeah, it's Davis Mills and Dameon Pierce and Brandon Cooks, and that's it. But they were without, once again, their starting inside linebacker, their Pro Bowl safety, and their star cornerback. And they still made hay. They still kept him out of the end zone, and they still made adjustments in the second half. I'm not taking away anything from what Evero's done.
Agreed. Colby, appreciate you, buddy. He says, I know it's early, but is this a must-win game if we want to make the playoffs? I don't think it's a must-win if you want to make the playoffs because it's non-conference. But for a different reason, I'm going to tell you, I think it's borderline must-win. And that is, if the Broncos don't handle this game, the outside noise already has become a bit of a distraction because of just how the magnitude of the meme Nathaniel Hackett created of himself. And if you come out of week 3, Zach, 1 and 2, even if you buttoned up these things and they're not as big of an issue, the obvious coaching foibles on game day, I worry about the outside noise building up momentum and crescendoing to a point where a young, inexperienced head coach finds it difficult to ignore, and it becomes a distraction that, can over time kind of eat away at the foundation of a locker room. That's the worst case scenario. Okay, I'm not trying to be alarmist here, but that's why I think the Broncos, especially it's a home game, handle your business at home, boys.
You reminded me of the Three Stooges there, Chad. Certainly.
I know,
it's
right?
A throwback to a different time. It's not a must-win game in a literal sense. It's week 3. Talk to me last year about how the Broncos started. They went 3-0 and, they finished 7-10. It's also an NFC opponent, so they technically could afford to lose this game for tiebreaker purposes. It's just a can't lose badly game. They can't get blown out at home on national TV. Especially against a coach they could have hired in 2017 and Kyle Shanahan.
Oh, man.
They have to at least look respectable. They have to look competent. Nathaniel Hackett has to show that some of the mistakes that he made in the first couple of weeks are corrected and are behind him. If they lose 26-25, but the offense is 100% in the red zone and there's no major glaring coaching errors, I think Broncos country could swallow that a little more than if they got blown out or if they just look completely lost like in certain points last week.
And that's fair. I think, too, the thing we got to keep in mind is if you can't handle a playoff caliber opponent like the Niners with the quarterback of Jimmy Garoppolo's magnitude and caliber, how are you going to handle Pat Mahomes in December? How are you going to handle Justin Herbert when you draw him? So it's a solid litmus test, but that's just the nature of the NFL. I mean, yeah, the other side gets paid too, but in today's game, just about every team you draw on the schedule is going to have a formidable quarterback. And so this is that next step up, not to make a mountain out of a molehill here with Jimmy G. I don't want to crown and make him sound like Joe Montana or anything, but he is a few steps above the Davis Mills and the Geno Smiths of the world. So this is a nice litmus test. It's going to be fun to see how it shakes out. Zach, let's look at special teams real quick here for what it's worth. I just want to point you to, again, here's the metric. Your boy, Washington, 3rd in the league right now in punt return average, but the Niners are no slouches in that. I mean, 9.2 is nothing to write home about, but as it stands through 2 weeks in the NFL, it's good for 10th. But everything else, Zach, the gross punting is bottom. There's only 2 teams worse. Net punting, 1 team worse. Kickoff return average. So these return units, Zach, and the punter himself in gross punting, not getting the job done. Dwayne Stukes, I got to be frank with you, I expected better than what we've seen through 2 games.
Yeah, that's why I was talking about earlier. I believe he was talking about net punting average, and he called the number as you see there. It's either sickening or disgusting. And he said he talked to Corliss Waitman about it, so hopefully that's corrected. Yeah, the one bright spot on special teams is Montrell, and we all knew that, but we wanted to see those numbers come down a little bit because I get Tom McMahon vibes with the 30th and 31st and 25th and 23rd. It should be black or green. So another young coordinator still growing, and hopefully he gets it right on that side of the ball.
Broncos have not had competent third phase coaching since Joe DeCamillis with Gary Kubiak.
Fact.
So it's still early. Dwayne Stukes can be that still. I do like his upside, and I think in the final analysis, when we look back on this season, we're going to be glad he was the hire, but he's whipping these guys into shape. All right, last thing I want to look at here, Zach. Look at this, dude. Penalties. You're dead last in the league, dude. This is another indictment on not just Hackett, Zach, but the entire Broncos coaching staff. Meanwhile, the Niners are about where you would expect, right in the middle for penalties committed, and then also middle for penalties committed by opponents. But this number right here, Zach, I can't get over how atrocious that is through 2 games.
Now, I'll take Stukes' word there and say that's sickening because the Broncos are pretty much doubling up what their opponents are averaging per game. And that just cannot happen. I don't care what the penalties are. It seemed like every one that exists, every penalty that's real was called against the Broncos last week. It cannot happen. Point blank, period. That starts and ends with Nathaniel Hackett.
Andrew says, what advantage, pardon me, do we have in this game, if there is one? And are y'all going to join the crowd in the Boo Birds if they call? I don't know about that. It depends on the heat of the moment, I guess. I don't know. But do the Broncos have an advantage here, Zach, outside of the thin air of Mile High and being at home?
I'll definitely be counting down if it comes down to it. You know, if anything, just to help out the offense and Russell Wilson. The advantage is obviously the home crowd. It's a pretty imposing place to play. It's on prime time. Broncos country should be pretty gassed up for this game. The advantage, I would say quarterback, but until I see some red zone production, I can't really, unfortunately say that the Broncos have a major upgrade there over Jimmy Garoppolo. I think the Niners are a little more efficient. The Broncos backfield is a major advantage over the decimated Niners backfield with Jeff Wilson and Marlon Mack. Can't say receivers because the Niners receivers scare me quite a bit. I can't say tight end. Defensive line's a wash, I think. Secondary, I think, goes to the Broncos. So, it's a really fair matchup on paper, an even matchup on paper. And that's why I'm talking about it could be a struggle fest. It could be a low scoring game until the fourth quarter. And whatever offense, whatever quarterback gets the better of their opposing defense, I think will come out on top.
One of our great supporters on Facebook, Clayton, says, who is under the radar? What players that going in that could shock people on offense or defense? Who's flying under the radar that could pop on Sunday night? I'm going to throw out Montrell, dude, for what it's worth.
I was going to say Montrell, yeah. I'll pick a defensive player. I'm going to say Damari Mathis because he played excellent to me against the Texans. And regardless of past Surtain status, I think Surtain will play. I hope he plays, but he's not going to be 100%. And Damari throughout training camp, the preseason, last couple weeks, he's looked really good. I'll give also Caden Stearns a shout out. It's only a matter of time before his playmaking ability comes out, and he's so much better and more athletic and more clutch, I feel like, than having Kareem Jackson back there without Simmons.
Did we answer this from Robot of Doom? It's a similar question, but he says, Chad and Zach, do you think this could possibly be a trap game for the Niners? I think this game, the Rams game and KC game is I guess, trap game for us. Do you see this as a trap game? I don't, because the opponent's not a weak enough opponent to lure you in and thus secure the trap. Like, this is a quality enough opponent where if you don't come out guns blazing, then shame on you.
The Broncos are 1-1. They're not 0-2. They're not 0-8. They're not 0-10. How could you call this a trap game in week 3? Anyone, not just you, Robot of Doom, anyone. It's just a preposterous notion to say that. The Niners are judging the Broncos based on the merit of their coaching staff. And Kyle Shanahan said, by the way, the Broncos have a very good coach and a good offensive coordinator, and the product on the field. As I just laid out, you can make the case the Broncos have the upper hand at multiple spots. No, it's not a trap game. And the 49ers, I hope they waltz into Empower Field with that mindset, Chad, because they will lose, and they will lose badly if they overlook this Broncos team that should play up for this game.
It's going to be fun. It really is. We can't wait to see how it plays out. But we're about out of time. Zach, is there any other burning topics you want to get to before we do our rundowns?
That's a good shout by Jeremy Shawn here about an underrated player. K'Wan Williams facing his former team. Same for DJ Jones. Maybe they'll come up clutch for the Broncos on defense and get the ball back for Russell Wilson. I can't think of too much right now, other than we have the meet and greet Sunday night, Chad, and or Sunday afternoon, and we're hyped about that.
Yeah, just want to remind everybody, in case you weren't with us at the top of the show, we're going to be there at the stadium Sunday evening, welcoming everybody, greeting, talking Broncos, saying what's up, snapping pics, having some good food, hanging out before the game. So come find us. We're in Lot D as far as the tailgate outside the stadium. That's in the southwest end there. And we'll be there from about 3 to 6, right, leading up to game time. We'll have some fun shooting some content, live podcast. We'll have some swag there, some keepsakes, some things you can take home with you. So come see us. We'd love to meet as many of you as possible, and thank you in person for supporting MHH.
Yeah, can't wait to see y'all there Sunday. It's going to be fun, and I'm feeling pretty confident that we might see a Broncos victory. I'm not going to guarantee one. I'm not going to go out on a limb. We're looking forward to seeing you, Albert, for sure. Anyone out there, please come out. But we're going to be off until the gut reaction of that game on Sunday evening. And in the meantime, follow us on Twitter at the MHH Pod. The main account on Twitter at Mile High Huddle, Chad at Chad and Jensen, myself at Kelberman NFL, and Scott, our producer, at Scout Kennedy. If you guys want some merch like we flashed earlier, or you see Chad wearing right now, go to huddleuppod.com and check it out for yourself. I promise y'all, if you want that shirt, it's going to go fast, so make sure you get your order in. Huddleuppod.com. Once again, be sure to check that out. And Facebook.com/Mile High Huddle Pod. Like that page. Follow that page. Guys, if you haven't, please go to Apple Podcasts and leave your football priest a 5-star review for a chance to win some merch like that dope-ass shirt right in front of you each and every month. But if you can't do any of those things, as you see ticking below you, please subscribe, like, and share this video and every video you do see on the MHH channel. It really helps us grow and reach more Broncos fans just like y'all.
This shirt. Yeah. There's a lot of cool designs. If you like that design, which I agree with you, Zach, that's probably the dopest one we've had up to this point. You can get it on shirts. You can get it on hoodies. There's hats. There's all kinds of cool stuff. So it's another great way to support what we do here. Plus, you get a little something in exchange. Look good, rep the team colors and the brand. So much love and respect. Shout out to these great Super Chat superstars tonight for helping keep the lights on here at MHH. Sam Bam, The Duchess, Ren 99, Plum Bob, plus our great supporters on Facebook. And I got to go between a couple of, let me see here. So we got Gary Leach Palmer, Andrew Baker, Phil McLaughlin, Colby C. Collier, and all the websites being dumb. If I didn't mention your name on Facebook and you were throwing down, just know we love you. We appreciate you. The website, Facebook's being weird right now. So, and as Dylan reminds everybody, and Zach did, just make sure you hit that like button on your way out. It's a small thing you can do if you're on YouTube and Facebook. Helps us out in a big, bad way. Can't wait to see as many of you as possible at the game, meet and greet, Sunday, 3 to 6, Lot D, in Power Field at Mile High.
See y'all there, everyone. Have a great start to your weekend. Take care, and as always, go Broncos.